Looking for the perfect seasonal bedding? Brooklyn has got you. Meet our exclusive.
Julia TV, what's the deal? I'm trying, I can't figure out how to comment when I'm in the app. What's the deal though? What's the deal with Yaku got us live in the Yaku Club? I mean, listen. I really don't know what that was about. I couldn't get it figured out other than, you know what I'm saying, Black Justice. Yeah, it's definitely some, it's definitely some challenges. He got some challenges. And that's the thing, is that you got all of these, various levels that you still got to be qualified in. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's peace and fine and good and all, right? You might be qualified in, you might be qualified in certain, aspects, and then in other aspects, which sound is infinite. Ain't see it in a minute. Hey, look, infinite, man. I gotta look. Everybody wants to know the $64,000 question. Do I even have to ask you? Do I even have to ask you the $64,000 question? Everybody wants to know, God. King Bab, what's the deal? Who's this? Can't pronounce that. Gonçalves. Welcome to the channel. But yeah, so that's one of the things, is that we got some people who, they've been exposed to this knowledge, right? But the way that they have to, who's this? Tristan, welcome to the channel. Don't get too crazy on us, but welcome to the channel. We got some people who they've been exposed to the knowledge, right? But they got other challenges. They got other challenges that to me, here's the thing: you got to know how to use the lessons. You see what I'm saying? When you got these types of challenges, then that's how you got to keep the lessons in mind. That's what it's good for, to keep you rooted. And so, like I said, when you're looking at these various stories, there's things that you're supposed to learn from them. Right? If you just memorizing these stories, and when all the people was born, and where they lived, and who talked to who, and who said what when, right? But did you really get the lesson from it? Right? So that really leads right up to shout out to Taylor Westbury. Welcome to the channel. You know, that leads right up to the title of the live, right? Interorientations, right? Making interorientations. You know, because you know, say for instance, you know, with that brother, right? You know, one of the things that he was suggesting is that you know, him and, you know, at the time he had some brothers, whoever he was talking about, that they rewrite the lessons. See, here's the thing. You can't really rewrite the lessons. You see what I'm saying? You gotta do your own lessons. Well, somebody asked me if I'm blind here. Yes. You know, shout out to who's this? Deidre Robinson. We love you over here too. You know what I'm saying? But he was suggesting that they change the lessons, right? Now here's the thing. Those lessons already is what it is. Here's what you could do. Write your own lessons, right? And see, when you write your own lessons, you could talk about when you and Kevin was standing on the corner, right? And this thing happened and that thing happened, and that's how y'all handled it. This is how it came out. And then we can see if people can grow off of you and Kevin's experience, right? Or whoever you was with, right? Whatever y'all, you know, we was talking about this and then that happened, right? Or somebody chose a woman, right? And then this happened. Yeah, we got a lot of trolls today. I don't know. Do we have some of these people we can get out of here? But I ain't got time. Is none of my moderators is in here? S. Reeves, what's the deal? But you know, I guess that's how you know you made it, when you got these types of trolls, you know, big time YouTube in there. Gotta love it. But you know, these people, right? You know, if you're gonna write the lessons, you gotta write your own lesson. You can't change what happened. You can't change what happened in the slightest. And see, here's the first thing, right? That it's like, all right, you want to rewrite the lessons, and then one of the things you want to do by doing that, right, is you want to teach people that's older than you. You want to come around and tell people how they caught up in the past. But let's look at this for a second, right? Why would we pay attention to some lessons that you wrote? Meaning, listen, we know what Elijah's teachings is, right? We know what Allah's teachings is, and we know what they accomplish, right? Not just their teachings in the terms of they said this and they said that, right? But they teachings in the form of all the fruit that was born from the seeds that they planted. You know what I'm saying? Don Bishop. He said, yeah, look, I got the other video you sent me too. There's a couple of videos that we're going to end up covering them, but right now, you know, we're gonna get more into this topic right here, divine understanding. What's the deal? Yeah, I think that's what it is right now. We need the people to come on. We need the people to come on and outnumber the trolls or something right now. I don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, ultimately, that's what I'm saying is that how are you qualified, right, to teach those that already experienced the lessons, right? Meaning they already experienced the lessons, they already know how they work. And now you're going to come, right, with whatever you're going to say, right, because it's unproven. So you haven't even told your stories regular. But now get into the nitty-gritty of the title, right? Interorientations. Right? You know, one of the things that, well, the thing that sparked this, right, is when I was at the rally, I ran into a brother that said that he knew some brothers in Tampa, Florida, right? Hold on. There's got to be a moderator in here somewhere. Let me get some of these people out of here. This dude here, you need to go in permanent timeout. Oh, I'm talking about somebody in jail for 15 years and couldn't stay away from the kids, and you want me to give them a shout out? That's your rabbit ass one. Like you, see, you fucking around and get strangled like that at the wrong place, man. Yeah, but still, that kind of, don't say that on my page. You know what I'm saying? But, so, I don't know if anybody on here is from that area, right? But when I was at the rally, right, I was informed that some brothers from Tampa, Florida had an idea, right, where they was going to incorporate the law school, right? District 120, more of our people, right? You know, now first of all, I asked around a couple of brothers. You know, nobody knows who these people are. You know, like they showed me a picture of a group of people, right? And the only one person that I knew in the picture, I knew them from New York. But that wasn't the person who was, you know, they were saying was making that move. You know, and so, you know, look, like I said, I don't know the brothers. You know, I just heard about what happened, so I can't say that they doing the wrong thing or the right thing. Right? But I do see that, you know, there's a lot of people that got a lot of ideas, right, about how we should move forward. You know what I mean? Different things, you know, trademarks and, you know, incorporations and various things. And what I'm saying is, does anybody or does everybody understand that when you're doing that, you're making interorientations. Bishop, where you at? Hold on. Let me get down, Bishop. I think, yeah, Don Bishop, you moderated. Let me see. Get this with my channel. If I can, because right now I'm about to ask a question. We don't need the trolls. We don't need the trolls responding, right? But look, does everybody know what interorientation means? Because I know some people don't know what it means, right? Because they've changed it to interpretation. What about interorientation? Does everybody know what interorientation means? See, because there's some lessons in there, right, just to get across, right, without condemning, some brothers that we don't know what they doing, right? But there's still some things, some knowledge that we can make home. Is anyone out there, or do we only have the trolls out there? What's going on? But that's how you get rid. That's how you get rid. Born, what's the science? That's how you get rid of the riffraff. You ask a question about the degrees. I asked about 4 minutes ago, Born. I asked about 4 minutes ago, what does interorientation mean? And apparently we're still working on that. Tony Cranley, I'm doing fair for us. Square. How you doing? Right now we got some matters. Julia TV said, I know the two words, but not sure about the meaning. Seeing truth, did you say interorientation was changed to interpretation? Yeah, in some people's lessons, some people got interpretation. It wasn't changed as in the lessons, was officially changed. It's various reasons. See, like Julia TV just said he knows the words, right? But he's not sure about the meaning. He might have never seen the word before. So you got to remember, in the beginning, you got brothers they writing lessons down. You know what I'm saying? So, I've never seen this word before, right? You got bad handwriting. You know what I'm saying? So I interpret it as interpretation. It's not always, maliciously, somebody, a lot of things happen. That's just the reality of the history of how this was born. Right? But yeah, whether you got a dash or not, right? What does interorientation mean? He said interorientation means swindle, psych-a-boo-boo, he got your jokes on you, let me get that. He said that interorientation is learning something new from another group of people. Okay. So far, right? Y'all haven't hit it yet. You know, that ended up being the outcome, right? That, they got swindled. But we get into that later. First, we just don't know what's the interorientation. See, look, when you go, right? Like, see my daughter, right? She just started college. And so she goes to orientation, right? You start college or you start a new job, you go to orientation. See how something is oriented, right? Somebody get the specific dictionary definition of orient, right? But the way something is oriented is the way it's situated in relation to something else. So see, when you go to the job orientation, right, or the school orientation, they let you know, look, this is the rules here. Like when you hear this, look, you can walk over here, you can't walk over there. If you do this right here, right, this is the penalty. Right? Now the reason that's not a inter-orientation, right? See, inter means between. Now see, when you go to that job orientation, you don't give them no rules. You don't tell them nothing. See what I'm saying? So you just went to orientation and they just let you know how to act when you around them. How to act when you're on you said enter God X body. We're gonna get back to you. Right? but you don't give the other people rules, right? Now when we deal with the science of the interorientation and the degrees, see one thing that's demonstrating right there, right, is that the color man ain't have all this power at that time. So see, he had to make an interorientation. Right, where you come and you tell me how you do things, and I let you know how it's gonna go too. See, we're gonna trade ideas. You ain't gonna just tell me your ideas. You see what I'm saying? So now, this is how we situated in our dealings with each other, right? This is the interorientations that's made. Right? Our ideas, whether we trading religious ideas, whether we trading land, whether we trading goods, whether we trading slaves, right? What's the price? See, if one of us ain't got no power, guess what the price is? $0.00. You see, if we both got power, right? Now we got to negotiate this. WMTM, welcome to the channel. Right? Now we got to negotiate this, right? Because we both got power. Now, right, we get into what the brother right here say, right? Where he's saying you get swindled. Right? You get swindled. God body, we getting back to you. The topic is making interorientations, right? So now we're going to use just as an example, right? We're going to use as an example this here incorporation that they talking about, right? So you're going to make an orientation. You know, we can say it's an interorientation because you're going to get some benefit. You're going to get some benefit from signing whatever deal you sign with them, right? You sign whatever paper with the State Department to register that name so that you can receive some benefits, right? The benefits of, you know, just even being able to do business, open bank accounts, write checks, make moves, all these types of things. We understand that. But see, you're not going to give them no rules. See, if they fuck up, you're not going to tell them what the penalty is. And so, see, one of the things with that, right, and one of the things you can learn from the interorientation they talking about in the lessons, right, is to do the knowledge to what you trading with. See what you willing to trade. See, look, when you look at all these various interorientations around the world, right? Right? Whether you talking about that particular orientation in the lessons, right? Or you talking about the interorientations they made when they came here to North America. See, when we learn about Thanksgiving, look, that's an interorientation. See, that was when the Indians had power, but then when the Indians ain't had no power, now we just making an orientation. Now you go where we told you to go. You see, when you look at these various interorientations that was made, the colored man always traded something of no value. See, everybody that wants to make an interorientation for us, you want to trade with national pillars. Look, in New York, when you first go to social studies class, right? You know how in social studies class, you learn the state history. Right? And one of the founding, you know, I guess you could say the founding myths, right? One of the founding stories of New York City, right, is that a Dutchman named Peter Minuet bought the island of Manhattan for $24 worth of pots and pans and beads and trinkets. You can't even live in a cardboard box in Manhattan right now for $24 a day. See, when you look all around, right, you see that the people who didn't understand, right, the people who didn't understand what the interorientation was about, they gave up everything. Like, you ever heard that it's like a parable, it's some kind of, it's an African saying, right, that I heard before, where they said that when the Europeans first came, they had the Bible and we had the land. And then, you know, by whatever certain amount of time, we had the Bible and they had the land. Right, so now we got the definition here. The prefix inter means between, among, or together, indicating a relationship or action occurring among two or more distinct entities. Orientation, the determination of the relevant position. And what's the relevant position? Who got the power? If we both got power, then we make an interorientation dealing with equality. Neither one of us got power, we more than likely at each other's throats. Trying to determine who's going to have the power. But if one got power and the other one don't, then the price is zero. So, you know, just look, this is just some wisdom right here. This is what I'm saying. Don't, you know, because I don't know what these brothers is doing. So, you know, I don't want to accuse them, right? But see, this is what I'm saying, that some things you have to, see, let me tell you something. Anything that you register with the government can be taken from you. A car, a house, a child, anything that you got to register with the government, right? There's something in the interorientation in them papers that you sign, right? If it's not within the text of the papers that you sign, is that my screen or my? But if it's not there, then it's something that's implied in your duties, in your civil duties. So see, we have to be aware, right? This is just some wisdom, right? You got to be aware of even what name you use when you go to make that interorientation. See, like you see a company, right? That their company will be named New York City. It'll be, you know, New York City cell phones. And then one day you might see the name change to Cell Phones of New York City. Almighty knowledge. See, sometimes, right, what has happened there, sometimes what has happened with that situation, right, is something is going wrong with that company. See, maybe they had to declare bankruptcy or something, so now they can't use that name no more. Because it could be legal liabilities, right? Financial liabilities that is in that name. Because see, now, once you register it with the State Department, right? And they give you a tax ID number, right? Then that tax ID number is the social security number for that name that you registered with them. What the hell is... Let's get rid of this person. I'm not sure what they mean. but they gotta go. This person is talking about they almost finished. I don't know if you started. I don't know if you started, but you gotta go. The Fifth Element Hip Hop, Julie TV said that's what happened to Master P. See, all right, that's it. So you understand what I'm saying? That's my point now. So now let's say you go and you register the name of law school in Mecca, right? Not a law school in Mecca, a law school in Tampa. See, that's why you got to be aware of that kind of thing. You said Master P, I'm saying he had to change the name of his company because of one of the things that I'm saying, or he just changed it. You know what I'm saying? But I do know that happened, remember Death Row changed to The Row? See, our name is not something that, we can, it's not commodifiable. See, there's a difference between worthless and priceless. Yeah, Blackjack. Get Blackjack out of here. I don't know why y'all. I put people to moderate. Get these people out of here. That's one thing about YouTube I never like. You can't block people. Like, there's no permanent blocking. At least not from the right here in the live stream. I haven't figured out how to do that yet. You know what I'm saying? But these are the kinds of things that you got to think about. Now, this is what I'm saying. There's other things too, just principles. And see, this is one of the things that go into, look, are you qualified to do this, right? You gotta have some concept and idea of the past, right? In order to lead the way to the future, man. So see, a lot of times, it's like you want to make moves. So look, here's one of the things, right? And a lot of times it just comes down to a question. Yeah, Don Bishop, handle that for me. Because these people is distracted. I'm over here thinking these are real people, so that's what it is. We're not used to these trolls. But see, that's what, getting back to what I was saying is that's what it comes down, right, to, are you qualified? Like, yeah, that, it's necessary. There's things that have to be learned in the present, right? That you gotta apply right here in the present. But it's like, one of the things, like, you can't forget to tie your shoe, right? You can't forget how to tie your shoes, right? Because you learn how to tie a tie. So a lot of times, what I see is that it comes down to like somebody will tell you an idea that they have, and then you would just ask a question, but what about this? And then the next thing, see, God, you trying to tear me down, and everybody just stuck in the past, and everybody you stuck in the lessons. Like, bro, I just asked you a question on how this plan is going to be executed. Yeah, you gave me the knowledge. But what about the wisdom and understanding, the culture and all that? What? You see, you gotta remember, certain things. Now, certain things, it does trigger, like, see, you don't hear about that as much now. Right? You don't hear about that as much now. Right? But, when I was growing up, right? One of the common stories that you used to always hear about Allah was that, more than one time, Allah was offered large amounts of money to not teach this knowledge here. Some of y'all might have heard some of the stories, I don't know, but you don't hear that as much no more. And so that's one of the things that, for us, that instilled in us, man, that these principles, right, is not worth no amount of money. You know what I'm saying? And then for anybody that you can say, right, beyond figuratively, right, that this knowledge saved my life. See, no amount of money, no deal that nobody could have made to get no big shiny building, right, would have been worth that to you. Wisdom Egypt? That's a new one. What happened to God X Body? You still out there? We're gonna get back to you. Just let me finish one. Oh man. Let's just finish this topic first. One at a time. But just saying that, so, various people, when they come with these ideas, right, whatever your idea is that you come with, that's one of the things that, some people that's from that mindset is always going to want to make sure that the problem is not making money. The problem is, right, is that going to come at the cost? Is that going to come at the cost of our principles? Los Zetas. Christ is the only way to repent. Hey, listen, you heard the name, now you know the game. Look, Los Zetas, since you came and met the Christ, I give you a ticket to heaven. Whew. For the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. Hallelujah. From your lips to the black man's ears. You know what I'm saying? But getting back to our point, right, is that as we go out there and interact, because the message is not to interact. A part of the history right, is the interaction with Mayor Lindsay, right? You know, it's funny you mentioned, you asked about that human chapter. I actually was talking to Wise the other day about that. But it's, give it some time. You know what I'm saying? But this is what I'm saying, is that you still have to be aware. See, meaning, look, how many people saw that chapter in Barry Goddard's book? In Barry Goddard's book, right? What is the name of that chapter? What is the name of the chapter in Barry Goddard's book about the founder of this nation? Scott said, broad is the way that leads to destruction. Narrow is the way that leads to salvation. Yo, Scott, you dropping that bomb shit, man. You dropping that bomb shit. You know, you just need to come over to the side of light. So you need to recognize. You need to recognize the narrow path where you see it. Right. A man named Allah. Right. So what I'm saying is that Allah didn't sacrifice. Allah didn't sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, when I go around him, you know, I'm gonna be Mr. Such and such. And now my name is Allah, and this is what I teach right here. So you can see it reflected, right, in everybody that came in tune with it. So see, a lot of times that's what happens. It's like, yeah, well, you know, you need to get some of the brothers to understand that they don't need to be. Nah, what are you talking about? See, we talking nations, right? We talking nations, right? What's this? Denzel movie by Spike Lee, where his right hand man has a universal flag on the wall, with a scene praying throughout the movie. See, Spike Lee know the guys. So, throughout Spike Lee's career, there's been 5% character in his movies. You know what I'm saying? You know, we used to see Spike used to rest right there on the corner by the hospital right there on Fort Greene Place. When you go on the Medina rally, 2 years, we see Spike, a piece of the guys. You know what I'm saying? So now I haven't seen it, but you know, that doesn't surprise me at all. He's from the head of Medina, B. What you expect? But where was we? Los Zetas said, "Why are you here? Go to the Middle East and preach." I mean, I hate to sound Trumpish. But how is somebody with a name named Los Zetas telling me to go somewhere? You know, look, and shout out to the brothers. I'm talking about this is a legitimate question, though. you know, I don't think I, Los Zetas say I support Trump. Yeah, we heard. we heard. But you know, look. Hey, look, you can't make this shit up. You can't. Look, I'm gonna leave it alone, man, because you're opening yourself up to an amount of jokes, but it's like I don't even play that. I don't want to get into that. But yo, bro, I got like 10 questions for you. If I just wanted content, if I just wanted some content, I got like 10 questions for you. Scott said the planet Earth was created for life to exist. Or is the planet Earth part of life? Like I said, Scott, hey, look, you kicking that shit. One day we'll sit down and I'll explain the whole thing to you how the black man's God. That's the only thing I think right now. That's the only thing I think right now. You might be you might not have been exposed to that yet. You know what I'm saying? But see, now I told you how to get rid of these people. Now I can't. Where was we again, man? Where was we again? You said, don't compare Jesus with Allah, change your name. Well, see, I'm not Jesus Christ. I'm Allah Christ. You know what I'm saying? I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure. See, this is the difference. This is the main difference. Los Zetas. If you want to know the main difference between Jesus Christ and Allah Christ, type 1 in the box. You said, doesn't Allah mean Jesus? It's funny you say, you might be thinking that, right? Because Allah is the black man and Jesus was the black man. You see what I mean? But see, Allah is the black man himself. The wrestling guy. That's what I'm talking about. Some WWF up in here. There's some WWF up in the building. Yes, Los Zetas said Jesus ain't black. Susie said Allah means God in Arabic. Yeah, black man's God. Haven't you heard? See, we might have to start back at the beginning of the day. We might have to go back. I'm gonna have to break this down. Do I need to break this down for y'all? What happened to Los Zetas, man? Do you want me to tell you the main difference for you to keep in mind at all times between Jesus Christ and Allah Christ? You said it's like Superman is black. No, see, the Supreme Man is black, but if you're talking about the cartoon, he's Jewish. See, the cartoon version is Jewish. This dude said, can I be a moderator? I don't even know you. Why would I allow you? See, this is what I'm talking about. He's thinking that he can still make that kind of interorientation. Fool me once, board edits. You said Kent is a Jewish name? No. The dude was Jewish though. The people who made Superman was Jewish. And Superman is a cartoon from the 1930s, if I'm not mistaken. And get rid of these people in here, some of these people. Get rid of higher, whatever, get rid of him. Get him out of here. Get rid of this Randy R too. See, some of y'all is just, you know. And at any rate, getting back to the thing right there is that Superman, he was, you know, see how he was like all meek and everything, but then he really had these superpowers. He had these superpowers to save the world and everything. You know what I'm saying? And so it was like their, you know, his version of, you know, how he would be if he was super. He said, why are all YouTube live streams full of trolls in the comments? I mean, look, there's a 24 hours is a lot of time, and cocaine is a hell of a drug. Right. Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. The first issue of Action Comics published in the United States on April 18, 1938. So yeah, that's a Jewish superhero. You know what I'm saying? Drew, listen, it's not your fault, man. I don't know what these people. I don't know what these people, man. You know, look, man. You know, we gotta find a way. I don't know what it is. Pickle Tart said lots of powerful people are Jewish. Like who you say? I mean, listen, this is what you call topic drift. You know, but don't think I'm still aware, right? I'm still aware that you know, the topic, right, is about as we moving forward, right? You know, like I said, it's not that we not supposed to be interacting with this greater society around us, right? You know what I'm saying? You know, the Lord told everybody to register to vote. You know what I'm saying? All these different things, we supposed to be participating with this community because we are part of it. You understand what I'm saying? So it's never that, you know, we're not supposed to interact with them. Of course, there's individuals like myself who just, I'd rather not. But our national stance is not that, you know what I'm saying, we can't use these tools. You see, some tools, man, you gotta be aware. See, now look, y'all need to pardon my French for a minute here. Y'all need to pardon my French for a minute. We talking hypothetically, right? We ain't talking about, we just speaking hypothetically, right? But see, when I say use these tools, you have to be aware, right? Because see, there's some hoes that you use and some hoes use you. So see, you gotta be aware, right? You know what I'm saying? That, you know, whatever you doing, you ain't giving somebody the rope. You know, and this is with all your dealings. But especially when you're dealing with something where it's like, yeah, you're making an orientation here, right? You making an orientation here, right? And like I said, there's no interorientation. There's nothing that they have to do relative to you. So just keep that in mind, you know what I'm saying, whatever it is. Whatever it is, you know what I'm saying? You know, like even our relationship with the internet and everything, right? You know, we come onto the internet, yeah, we getting a certain benefit of communication or whatever. But see, if they just decide that, you know, look, I don't like this stuff that you're saying, right? If they just decide, I don't like this stuff that you're saying, then they just press the button and it's over. Now see, with this is nothing. See, this is, you know, even with this channel, right? You know, yeah, there's a certain amount of videos on there, whatever. But see, I'm the truth. See, this video right here, this is a digital representation, right, of me speaking some things. Go say this. You still ain't tell me whether you want to, do you want to know what's the basic difference, between Jesus Christ and Allah Christ? Type one in the box. Houston Quintana. We got this. Woo! Somebody must have told, who's this Jewish Epstein? Did somebody just go and tell on me? You said Christ means covered in oil in Koine Greek. See, I don't like the way you pause. See, I don't like, say anointed one. don't say covered in oil. You see how you gotta the terminology there. Don't say covered in oil. Got it. Where you from, Pickle Tarch? so you from Ohio, y'all might don't have that. See, in New York we got particular language how we talk. Yeah. You said where I'm from? I'm from NYC. But why you timed? See, I would have told you. You didn't give me a chance to tell them the difference between the Lord Christ and Jesus Christ. A freaking culture, you can't call it. You know what I'm saying? But, maybe people is coming around. Maybe people is coming around to the knowledge. Maybe inquiring minds really want to know. Pickle charts. Hey, look, pickle charts. I just want to tell you right now, on this channel, we already have a wordsmith. We have we have somebody. You said the Star of David melded with a pentagram. Shaka knew what's the deal. But look, we have somebody. I don't know if you want to battle. I don't know if you want to battle with the present wordsmith. We got. See, we already. I don't know if you want that kind of smoke. You know what I'm saying? Right now, he ain't in here. See, if he was here. If he was here, yeah, that's what I'm saying. All this L is the foundation of the lie and all of this shit. Who knows? But look, let's try to. This is a dangerous thing. It's dangerous today. This is possibly the most dangerous time I've ever asked this question before. Right? But do we have any questions? Matter of fact, before we get to the questions, God X Body, are you still on the live stream? Okay, God X Body in the building. Okay, now, what's your righteous name? So you say you don't have a righteous name yet. You're working on the mathematics with your enlightener currently. Okay. Now, so where you from, right? And who is this? Who is the brother that you're talking about that you calling your enlightener? Said, I'm universal from planet Earth. I was conceived in Tacoma, Washington. My enlightenment is Blizz Kareem Johnson. You talking about that brother that be on the, when he be on is it Dougie Diamonds that he be on? Yeah, where you know Blizz from? So Fifth Element, this who he's talking about? No, he said he was conceived in Tacoma, Washington. He didn't say he's in Tacoma, Washington now. Right? So that's why I asked him, where you know Blizz from? Just you seen him talking on the internet and you decided that you was God body? You said you reached out to him after joining his classes. And what's his classes about? You said you reached out to him, so you've never met him in person. Okay. And how long has this been going on? This this process of you being introduced to this knowledge through Blizz, how long has this been going on? God X Body, you there? Okay, get Johnny Appleseed out of here. See, I asked him to be my enlightenment around a month ago. I've been God Body. I took that name on before I even knew the lessons. Okay, so here's the thing, right? Get Johnny Appleseed out of here. How old are you, God X Body? You're 29. Okay, so check this out, God Body, right? Whatever your real name is, right? Is that one thing you gotta understand about this 5%, right? Is that you can hear us speaking, right? And you can identify with some of the things that we're speaking, right? You can identify, but you can't internalize what we're speaking, right? Because this is a culture. You see what I'm saying? So see, you know, like you picked up this right here. You said God Body has been your name, right? Okay, how you got that name? How did you, you know, why didn't you name yourself Herbert or Ronald? Why'd you pick that name, God Body? He said, through my understanding that the Asiatic black man is God, I am God, I study the culture just as anyone else. So you can study the culture, but you got to live the culture. See, I can study the culture of Chinese people, that's not going to make me, I can study Cantonese culture, right? That's not going to make me Chinese. See, this is what I'm saying. And see, just now you said that I am God, I study the culture just as anyone else. That don't tell me where you got the name God X body. So on one hand, you come with a name that has a history to it, right? But then you telling me that you just plucked that out the air, right? Because the Asiatic black man is God. See, that's wrong. If you think that's our teachings, that's wrong. See, when you somewhere else, what you getting is sound bites and blurbs. See, like I could study a family. That don't make me a part of that family. I could study some people's history. That don't make me a part of that history. Especially when you studying it from a time and place that's out of the context of those people. So what I'm telling you is that name that you've chosen for yourself, right, already tells me, right, that you haven't been developing in this culture. You said you didn't say it was the teachings of God. I gave myself that name before I knew anything about the knowledge, and now I am taking the walk to learn the culture. Okay. And all these things is peace, right? I don't want to, I want to get to that right after this. But the question is, how did you get the name God X Body? Okay, why is God X Body isn't my righteous name? Why is that your handle right here? Somebody named Goku is in there. It made me have to peel off when you Goku. You see, you think you got power and shit, you come in here with that bullshit. Show you some Green Lantern shit. Y'all think this new superhero, this new shit. I had to get Green Lantern on you motherfuckers. Maybe you had to go into the chambers, man. Jump into the phone booth back here. So maybe you had to jump into this phone booth back here. But yeah, that's a different question. You know what I'm saying? All these things that you saying is peace. I'm with you on all that. But I would like to, just to answer that question. So Pickle Torch said, we aren't trolls, we just trying to share ideas and learn new things, bro. Yeah, but why you sharing your ideas with me? He's like, we got to set that up later. This is my live stream. You to come in and share your ideas. I think you're supposed to be paying me for that. How that works? He said, I chose a name to live up to before I learned how to actually get a righteous name. I think there's a misunderstanding about who I am. Okay, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm saying. And look, perhaps you're right? This is I'm opening up, right, to the possibility, right, that I'm wrong, right? But what I'm saying is this, right? If I come into a restaurant, if I come into an Italian restaurant and order spaghetti, right? I order, not even spaghetti. Let's say I order some fancy, I don't go, whatever. So the fanciest, I order the fanciest, or I order something that there's some element that everybody don't like that, but you can order that. Like, let me get the extra this sauce on it or whatever, right? And then I tell people, well, no, I've never been to an Italian restaurant before. Like, if somebody walks up to me and calls me by my name, and then they say, yeah, I never heard of you before. I never heard of you. So when you say you pick a name like God Body, right? And then you saying that you don't have no experience, that name, nothing inspired that name. Because you only said God. Look, okay, so here's the question. Right? This is a question. Where did body come from? Why'd you put body on? Because you explained right here why you put God in there. Right? Why'd you put body? You said, are you saying it's wrong for me to create a name for myself? I don't live in New York, so I reached out to a God who has knowledge of self and is showing me the right way. Well, not if he's still letting you call yourself God Body. But like I said, the question, right, is where did the body come from? I was raised, Pickle Tart said I was raised Christian, but have no faith in Jesus. Only a tremendous amount of hope that he is real. I mean, is that the idea that you wanted to come over here and hope? See, I would tell you, man, I'm from New York City in the bad old days. I lost hope back. Listen, I lost hope back in like 1984. You said the vessel I dwell in, it was a stance to say that I am one with the universal energy. Okay, so it was a stance to say that you're one with the universal energy. And so, am I correct? Or I'm not even saying am I correct. So you're saying you never heard the term God body. You never heard the term God body before, right? And you came up with that on your own. That's what you're saying. Somebody get Tanky the dog out of here. Somebody gave me this. I don't know what this do. Does anybody know what this does? We need Encyclopedia Brown, you know. I feel it. I think it's like a warm-up thing. Said, you suggested that I'm culturally appropriating. I came to your channel to gain knowledge. It's quite simple. I didn't steal this name. It was described to me in a different way when I first heard. You see, brother, look. Stop. This is what frustrates me sometimes, right? And it's not. I'm just. This is a personal problem, right? That I have, right? With getting frustrated. I don't know why, right? But see, it frustrates me, right? When people try to give me an answer that they think I want. See, now you're telling me it was described to you in a different way when you first heard. And all I've been saying this whole time, right, is that you heard that someplace. That we have to go through all that to come back to you didn't steal it. It was described to you a certain way and you heard it, and so you just okay, that see we can go from there. See, look, you 29, right? You 29. I've been doing this since 1987. See, everybody got their own time. It don't mean you're supposed to come in my time, supposed to come in your time, but just saying that, look, I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. You said I asked a few questions that led the conversation in a different direction. No, I asked you the question that led to the answers that was given right there. See, the direction is exactly what you just proved. See, we ain't going no different direction. We coming back full circle. So you heard the sound of our knowledge, right? You heard the wisdom, but you didn't really get the culture. See, right now, even with this, right? You seeing me on the internet just like you seeing the other brother on the internet. You're not really getting the way and judging we about what we talking about. See, right now, you can only go on if it sounds good right now in the context because you haven't researched or lived out none of what we're saying. These are the points that I'm trying to make to you that if you really want to get this knowledge, see, See, let me give you an example that I give a lot of times on this channel, man. See, you can a 2-year-old baby can walk outside and see a car and say that's a car, but they don't know how to drive it. I'm assuming. You said, you see, I respect your knowledge. I've watched some of your videos, so that's why I'm here. I'm trying to reach out to guys who know better than me. You're assuming. No, what am I assuming? Tell me what I'm assuming. Because I'm going by what you said. See, what first even caused me to even acknowledge that you exist, right? Was you made some statements on the question that I asked. Now, you don't know the lessons. You don't know the lessons. You just said that you just started studying a month ago from a brother. You said you started studying a month ago from a brother that you seen talk on the internet. But yet, you're telling us the meaning of what I asked the question from the lessons. But I'm the one assuming. See, you just said I asked you a whole bunch of questions that took things in a direction. How can I ask you questions and be assuming? See, why you think you stood out? You did. Why you think you stood out? You said you don't know. I don't know what you've been doing. I look, listen, observe. You said that. Whoa. I mean, well, look. You're right. I don't know what you've been doing. I know what you haven't been doing, and you haven't been a part of this science right here. You know what I'm saying? Now, when you presented yourself, you didn't come in and present yourself and say peace. You know what I'm saying? You know, I've been watching your channel for a while. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to. You came in and answered the question like you know what you're talking about. See, now you want to backtrack, all this backtracking. But when you came out, you just manifested. See what I'm saying? Then even when I asked you why you picked that name, you said, because I'm God. So I'm assuming, expecting you to be able to stand on the square when you said you was God? See, this is what I'm saying. There's a science of knowing the lessons, right? And quoting the mathematics and all of that. And then there's a science of actually doing things in order. See, this is what happens, man. I'm not talking about you. I'm not saying what happens is you. I'm saying I'm saying that this is an example, right, of when you try to explain to somebody the right way, and they spend the whole time explaining to you why they do it the wrong way. You ever have that happen? Like, I understand what you're saying. I understand perfectly everything that you're saying, right? You're only held responsible for what you know. So if that was the amount of knowledge that you had at that time, right, and that's what you used, right, to advance yourself, then that's what it is. But at the same time, you gotta understand that this knowledge is a family. And see, in the family, people don't be identical, but they look alike. You can tell they're related. So I'm not going to be the same as you. I don't expect you to be the same as me. But see, we know that there's certain characteristics that's not a part of this family. You said it appears as though I need to be on the defense because of my questioning. Listen, don't let all this workout shit back here affect you. I'm a scholar. See, I don't know. Look, did you see the We Don't Teach that video or something? Listen. I thought you said you watched this channel. See, listen. In this science that we teach, right? There's no salvation besides our own self. Like whatever happens out here, man, whatever it is, whatever salvation we gonna get, you know what I'm saying, whatever success, whatever failure, right? It's only up to us. We gotta be built for this shit, man. Said, all I'm saying is that I'm learning, reciting supreme mathematics, learning supreme alphabet, and so on. I'm working to internalize this while I'm here. Yeah, but I could tell, you know, see, look, you know how you come into, you ever switch schools? See, I switched schools a couple times. You go to the new school, you gotta take a test. So they can know where you at, what grade they put you in. You see what I'm saying? Like, see, you come in and I start talking about stuff in the 1 to 40. And you don't know those lessons. So now I just wasted both of our times. See what I'm saying? I didn't do no teaching. See, I ain't do no teaching because I didn't get in your head. My wisdom didn't get in your head. Pause. You understand what I'm saying? It went over your head what I was saying. So then I ain't do no duty then. So see, as soon as you come in, I see that right there and say, okay, I already have an idea that, okay, this brother might need some help. And see, look, I'm gonna tell you another thing too. That's just it's just something that, look, see, when I got the knowledge, this shit was in public. Like the knowledge went down in public. Like if you didn't know your lessons, right? That was in public. The 85s, the principal in the school knew that you got bombed in the morning. They used to look out the window. Security knew. And look, if you was one of the brothers, if you knew your lessons, you was on point, the administration knew. And yeah, that's one of the guys right there. Like, look, if we got a situation where we want to talk to them, right? We know who's who. Like, you saw the guys like on the main strips. That's the places where you hear about Broadway Junction and 3rd Avenue, and those are main hubs. For the whole city, Fulton Mall, those is main hubs. So maybe that's what it is. Like, see, I don't be understanding the concept that certain people be trying to be, see what I'm saying? Because, I'm saying specifically that, you know, when I came into the, that was one of the things, like, come on here, man. Like, we can't hear you on this side of the cipher. Speak up. that was part of it. So I don't really be understanding the concept. Sometimes people be like, yo, you know, they feel like they gotta be defensive. Like, we was in there. Everybody had to show and prove. See what I'm saying? You quote today's degree, I manifest. Like, you couldn't just quote it, even if you just learned it. It's like, bro, even if you don't have complete understanding, you gotta at least have some reading comprehension. Like, you just read that whole thing and memorized, it don't mean nothing to you. And then that was just what happened at 7 o'clock. Same thing happened at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Listen, if you wasn't at the morning cipher, like I said, you wasn't there at 7 o'clock, that's in public. Everybody know. Like the word is out. Like, people is looking for you. We looking for you. When we see you, yeah, God, we didn't see you this morning, God. How you see today's mathematics? See, I don't have people around for the public display. I'm utilizing the technology to figure it out. Yeah, but I'm telling you that now you found somebody, right? Like, you saying you watching this for a minute, right? You see what I'm saying? Now look, you saying that you want to internalize this and be a teacher, right? You gonna go, how you gonna do that? Yes, I'm saying, if you want to be on the defense, like, see, look, people came in here and say all types of shit. I can laugh at them all. Some people take it too far, you know, some of the stuff, but, and just in terms of, you know, somebody asking me a question or whatever. See, let me tell you something about this here, man. Don't take yourself as a joke, but I'm saying at the same time, don't take yourself too seriously, right? Where you think you beyond having to show and prove. See, that's what I'm saying. That's a different thing. It ain't no pearly gates that you walk through, right? Ain't no pearly gates that you walk through, and then you can let your head down. You know what I mean? You can, how they say, lay my burden down in Christianity and all that. Ain't nothing like that. You picking up the burden of saying that you God, right? And you responsible, right, for hunger, nakedness, and out of doors or not. Right? You responsible for knowledge, wisdom, understanding, freedom, justice, and equality, food, clothing, and shelter, and love, peace, and happiness. Yeah, right, yeah. Lay all this stuff down by the riverside and all that. Yeah, nah, that ain't this, man. You picking up the gauntlet. You see what I'm saying? So look, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not gonna send you out there. I'm not gonna send you out there unprepared. I'm not gonna send you out there unprepared for the stuff that I know is there. See, because look, you know who's the hardest people that's gonna question you? That's a question. That's a real question. What's your real name? I'm not calling you God. Just whatever's your name. You don't. Whoever you are, that's who you are. but whatever your name is, do you know who's really the toughest people that's going to ask you a question? If you think this puts you on a defense, you know who's going to ask you the toughest questions of all time? Tell me if you know that. Hey, Pickle Tarts. Pickle Tarts. Hey, look, I got a question, man. Because see, it's look, Pickle Tarts. What have you learned? What have you learned since you've been on the live stream? Try something else. Don't stop going back and forth. This is how you show and prove. That body, your question is still active too. Your question is still active. I'm multitasking right now. Get wrestle time out of here. So you learn the difference between faith and facts. Okay? This man Wrestle Tom doesn't like my bass. When we have a banjo, play a little country western. Pickle Charles said, is there a name for God you would share? Yeah. I'm gonna leave that to God. Hey, look, I'm gonna leave that to Don Bishop. I'm not even gonna say that. Hey, the person formerly known as Godbody, yeah. He said, I don't know the answer you're looking for. I go by Godbody on here until I get my righteous name. We got guys on here with all kinds of names. What's up with that? I know bro's name ain't Pickle. Yeah, but he's not saying he's us. And he can do what he want to do, right? See, that's what you're saying, that you want to be one with us, right? So, first of all, what that means is that your parents, right, gave you an honorable name, right? They gave you a name and honor because they loved you, right? Out of love. And that's who you was for 29 years until last month. You decided that you got by it. You know what I'm saying? But the fact is that just like, you know, I said earlier, you coming into this knowledge, that don't mean you're going to forget how to brush your teeth and wash your face. You're not going to forget how to take a bath. Those are things that your parents and your family taught you. You see what I'm saying? So that's still a part of everything who you are. You see what I'm saying? So that's just your name. And like you said, when you pick a righteous name, right? And see, why you pick the name? Why are we changing our names for? Because those names don't apply to us. The roots of those names and the meanings and all of that don't necessarily apply to us. So we pick a name with roots in our language, in our ideas, and our concepts. But see, this right here, see, what you're doing now is you being a fake 5%. See, because now, if your name is Godbody, right, show and prove it. Like, don't get me wrong. If you got warrants or some shit, you want to run, then don't tell us your name. If that's the reason, you ain't doing it, right? Then look, if that's the reason, just put 3 dots in the box. Matter of fact, don't even do that. Don't even do that. That you know. But look, I just leave it alone. If that's what you want, you know what I'm saying. But look, don't say that else. If you nori, don't. You know, Pickle Touch, we don't even know who Pickle Touch is. You know, I was gonna ask, Pickle Touch, you white or you black? Here comes somebody else with the Jesus Christ. Keep telling you, I want to tell you the difference between Jesus Christ and Allah Christ. He said, I've been changed my name to Godbody years ago. That's a slave name. David's my last name. Is a white man. For the sake of the culture, I also go by Sirius offline. All right, well, look. Look, you remember, you a little bit young, but a long time, there was a comedian, and he had a joke, right? Where he said that he ran into a fan one day, right? And so dude like, yo, what's up, whatever. So he's cool, so what's up with the fan or whatever. The dude want to take pictures and everything. So he said at some point he asked the dude like, yo, what's your name, man? And the dude said, my name is Delicious. And he said, well, look, I'm not about to call another grown man Delicious. Like, that's me. I'm not, you can call yourself whichever you want. You can go wherever, right? So just saying all that to say, right, that after our interaction, right, and what you was able to show and prove about this, I'm not calling you Godbody. I'm not. You can't get me to call you that. You know what I'm saying? However we gotta proceed from there, man. You know what I'm saying? However we gotta proceed from there, but I'm not calling you Godbody. You know what I'm saying? But getting back, we look. Let's this time, because look, it is we coming up on our usual time, right? And then it's late. So look, we're gonna go one more time. We're gonna see if we can go straight, right? Hey, Pickle Charge, you still ain't tell us if you black or you white. But look, do we have any more questions? Is there any more questions out there? Pickle Talk just mixed. I could kind of tell that. But look, mixed with what and what? See, that's loaded right there. Wait, you're not sure what you're mixed with? Seeing Truth, all right. Seeing Truth got a question. Maybe you could pull us up back, pull us out of this rabbit hole, pull us out of this rabbit hole into you said you're a bastard. Okay, so you saying that you don't know, so you know who your mother is. That's right. So okay, is your mother white or she black? Everybody said he's not learning like this. If you ain't learning like this, you ain't gonna learn. Hey look, somebody better tell him. Somebody better tell him. I don't listen. I'm right now, the things I'm telling you, if you absorb them, you'll be good. But if you try to defend against them, it's not even possible. That's how bombs happen. Is there really a 5% within the 5%? All right, we're gonna get back to that right there. Hold on, let me. So Pickle Torch said his mother is white, right? So you was raised by your white mother, right? And so I'm saying, like, your father, like what's the, like when you look in the mirror, right? I mean, like, could your father have been Chinese? Could you know, or you saying you don't know if he was Jamaican or from America? What are you saying? He was mixed, looked black, but apparently was Asian. Okay, so you like a red seed then. Okay, so now look, it's just, you know, it's just a curiosity. It's not even, you don't even have to answer this, right? This is more on a personal level, right? So being that the family that you would know, right, would be all white, right? What do you think, how do you think they would receive it if you came in the house saying that the black man is God and the white man is the devil? Or did you even know that that's what we teach? Because you said you so they wouldn't receive it well? Yeah, that's, I mean, look, don't feel bad. They don't take it that good. they don't take it that good in a fully black house. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I was asking you because yeah, a lot of the you know, comments that you've made and everything have made me wonder, you know, what your background and heritage is. You know what I'm saying? So you know, it did kind of answer a lot. You know what I'm saying? You know, but you know, anybody can come and learn. Luke Cage. So we got a question up here, right? Is there really a 5% within the 5%? Now, what is it that you mean by that? Because it's different when people use that term. There's different things that they mean. Hold on, now let me get a little glass of water here. It's a common saying that I hear. While I understand, I don't necessarily agree. Said, didn't we have this bill years plus days ago? There's only 1.5%. Do I drink soul water? What is soul water? I don't think I've heard of it. You said the vertical. Oh, when you have the screen vertical, you get more trolls? Shit, I don't even. I just when I press the what's your name, if you don't, you gotta press it beforehand. You gotta press it before. But yeah, when you say 5%. When you say 5% within the 5%, what you mean by that? All right, get 6ix9ine out of here. We ain't doing no crimes, but get 6ix9ine out of here. Yo, that brother must really be on the run, because he ain't say nothing. He ain't say nothing. He ain't say nothing. He didn't say nothing since I suggested that he don't say nothing if you're on the run. What happened to seeing truth? Say you don't say it. What do I think is meant by people that say it? You know, See, this where, see, if you take a snapshot of any given time, right? It's just a lot of them people ain't gonna still be around. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know, at this moment right now, you know, they with us, you know what I'm saying? But these people not gonna really be around. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's not necessarily, it's probably more accurate to put like the 80-20 rule on it. That's more close to what they mean, right? It's just that, look, 20% of us is going to do 80% of the work. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people want to come and say they 5%, right? So now it's like, you know, you get into a tricky situation, right? Where you don't want to be Yakub, right? And be taking people's birthright. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't make the decisions on who's really righteous and who's really not. They got to show and prove that on their own. You know what I'm saying? But just, you know, one of the things really say, even a word to the wise. You know what I'm saying? You know, a lot of these dudes that's here is followers. You know what I'm saying? So now, you know, ultimately, you know, we would say that they was never really this. You understand what I mean? Which is, that's the ultimate answer, right? When you say that, you know, those who is truly this, right? You know, you're going to even be able to look into your past and see where, you know, you've always had these characteristics. You just ain't have the knowledge itself. You see what I'm saying? You know, but you know, that's what's most commonly, you know, meant by that. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, at the same time, you know, you do have to realize that, you know, when you're dealing with percentages, they deal with all populations of people. You know what I'm saying? Even within that population. You know what I'm saying? Or within a segment of the population. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, within, like, look, and look, shout out to my brothers. Let me, you know, but look, you know, my brothers in the NOI, they know how I do. You know, I take shots at them, they take shots at me. You know what I'm saying? But look, in the 5%, right? It's 5%, 10%, and 85%, right? Look, you got civilized people, also Muslims and Muslim sons. It says that in the degree or not, God? Does it say that in the degree? Does it say that in the degree? I'm asking you. So look, you know, there is a way to draw that up, right? Where you say that, look, the civilized people is the 5, right? The Muslims is the 85, and the Muslim sons is the 10%. So that's why I said, you know, that's why I asked. That's why I asked, what did you mean by that? You know, what direction was you coming from? It says, some said Muslim guys use the 16th degree to prove the term Muslim guys right exact. No real understanding of that lesson. Yeah, I don't know how they prove the 16th degree. Oh. Well. Yeah, I don't know how to do that is. You know, yeah, they doing their thing. I don't even know really what it is. So what is a Muslim saint? A Muslim saint is one who goes under the secretive study of Islam from 35 to 50 years. Yeah, so we got any other questions? Look, let's you know, so far y'all always got the controversial questions. Y'all stay with the controversial questions. Gotta keep my abs so I can be with the YNs. Y'all old cats can't be with us. They can't be with us YNs. You said just you said, what do I mean by secretive study? It means that they're not allowed to tell nobody that they're going into the studies. Gregory Medford, you say, what do I do? What you mean, what do I do? See, one thing, we had a lot of wise people came in here. See, Gregory Medford said, God loves me. And you know, I really do. I love myself. I must say, you should love you too, though. So is that it? Yeah, I'll go ahead and get these last couple sets in, and then take it down if we ain't got no further questions. So moving forward, how does one who doesn't have all of the knowledge present to the 5% who has his full 360 as yourself. See, that's the, listen. This says the knowledge of self. So you know what that means? You can't even cheat on the test, son. Because you the answer. The science that you learn, if you internalizing the science about your own self, then how is it some particular way you supposed to present as yourself? But see, when you come already, you trying to fit in, and you saying that you God body, then I'm expecting you to stand on the square. So I recall the color band and my justice said to me, Godspeed, and my replay was, yeah, I'm pretty fast. You should have saw the look on his face. Gregory Memphis said, I just say I'm with you. With what? You see, listen, Mr. Davis, you ain't never said what your first name is, right? See, here's the thing. Every person that comes into the knowledge, right, it's like we need different things to catch us up to speed. You see what I'm saying? Meaning, some people already, they never ate pig. You know what I'm saying? Some people, their parents already was, on some, Afrocentric stuff. They was reading mad books, so they already know a lot of the history and stuff. You don't gotta tell them about that. Some people come in, they already know dietary law and all of that. So you don't gotta tell them that. You see what I'm saying? You gotta come in like, okay, now what it is that you need to know. Right? Some people may have never heard that the black man is God before. Some people may have never heard that, dietary law is important like that. You see what I'm saying? Or just like, when you come into the degrees, right? Different people, they got different lessons that's their favorite lessons. And that's because those are the ones that they grow off of the most. So see who you are, just like you said that earlier. I don't know you specifically, but I know us. Being like, look, I could have never saw a giraffe ever in my life. But if I know house cats, I know that's not a house cat. So see, if you come around us, whoever you is, I just know you other than us. What was that? I didn't see what you said the last one. Yeah, a lot of new people in here today. Who is Logarithmo? Hey man, we might have some new regions coming up or something, who knows? Am I related to? Nah. I don't know anyone named Cumberbatch. that don't even sound. Now I've never been to the family reunion and anyone there was named Cumberbatch. I'm finally starting to come back, y'all. You said out of North Carolina? I think I know you said that's Cumberland County in North Carolina, I think. But come on, man, yeah, listen, we trying to do, look, I should just, we trying to do I'm trying to get to the last questions before we be out. On the how many sets today? I actually was rocking out today, but I was outside. I did. I was doing the straight bar dips though, and then so on the rings, yeah, this really, because I was doing some this morning. And I did the straight bar dips. I don't think, like all together, the most I did probably straight bars. So I would say probably about 15 sets. I think I caught like 9 sets on the straight bars, on the straight bar outside. Shoulder is much better. I'm striving for perfection now. And it's at a level where it's beyond, you know, I thought it was gonna always be, like it was never gonna get back perfect. But now it's at a level where I'm starting to feel like it could, I'm starting to feel like it can get back 100%. But yeah, it's already, look, it feels like I got shocks. It feels like I got new shocks all over. Gregory Medford said, us old guys still have more in us. Wait. Who's us? Who's us old guys? Gregory Medford. What? Who's? You see how people do? You go one live stream. Who's us old guys, Gregory Medford? Riddle me that one. Who's us? I tell you, I went to YNs, man. Gotta have abs. What? 37 years old? this whippersnapper, this whippersnapper over here. Somebody tell this whippersnapper to go wash his behind his ears, man. You said 30. Oh, you've been working 37 years. Yeah, but still, I mean, you know, if you started working with at the age when I started, that's you'd still be young. Mm, 37 years, I don't know, you know. If you've been working 37 years, that's, I mean, you might be close. But I don't know. I don't know. See, it depends on what it is. See, you could be aging in those dog years. You could be aging in those dog years while I aging in the regular time. He said, best part is the day is waking up with my wife of 35. So it's your wife of 35 years or your wife is 35 years old? See, Greg, you missed it. You missed it. See, this used to be a Hotep channel. But we 35 years old, or you've been with her for 35 years? Because look, I'm not saying that both wouldn't be the best part of the day, right? But it would be for different reasons. It would be. Yeah, see what I'm saying? But yeah, shout out, man. Shout out to you and your wife, man, on 35 years, man. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, y'all make it 35 more. You know what I'm saying? But if I was you, I wouldn't watch this channel too much. I don't know if your wife would approve of you learning the kind of things you talk about on this channel over here. See all this right here? Pause, man. This is you. What you putting all this? What you putting all this in the chat for? See, that's what I'm saying. See, your wife don't like that. You over here trying to impress us. Look, I'm gonna try this move right here. I've been working on this. For a minute. See, when I can do this move, then I know that my shoulder is back right. But so far I can't. See, that's what it is. See, I gotta tighten this back up. See all this give like this? You can't really work out like that. I mean, you can do what you can, but see what happens is all that wobble is like instead of the force pulling your body up, it's going into that wobble. Gregory Rep Memphis said that's how you stay married. How about being henpecked? How you tell us the secret, Greg? Woo. Oh man, I did it. I gotta get parallel to the ground. It's not that. I gotta tighten the screws and everything down. See, I'm getting better. I'm getting better. That looked decent. At least my body was straight, but I couldn't get up to the. But you know, I'm on the comeback trail right now. You know, I had like a year off. Gregory said he got my back. You ain't got my back, you gotta be home for your wife. You see what I'm saying? See you in here talking all this tough talk now. Stop it, Pa. See, that's what I'm saying. I don't get you in trouble. This boy's in the hood right now, man. Get out the whip. See, I don't want to come back with a live stream next week. I don't want to come back with a live stream next week and you've been put out, man. You say you don't stay on the porch. Where you gonna stay at? In the doghouse? Don't play around, man. So you on here talking all this tough Tony talk. You know what's gonna happen? Somebody's gonna record this and leak it. Somebody's gonna leak this and then your wife is gonna see this. Go ahead and stop. So what we doing, man? What we doing, man? We got any questions, man? Y'all let the live stream be taken over. You know, I come on here to discuss. He said, I'm working on doing my muscle ups without swinging my leg. Oh, listen. That's it. I gotta get that back. But look, when I was doing the straight bar dips today, I was already struggling. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's definitely on this side right here. I gotta strengthen this back up. But yeah, when you talking about the strict muscle up. Or you talking about without swinging the legs, I can do that. You talking about without the kick, or you talking about without the swing. Like, at least one way to do it is when you like this, and then you like swing forward a little bit, and then pull. But they got this people that can just pull just straight up and just muscle it without the kick or the swing, right? So you talking about the strict one. Yeah, I'm working on that one myself. But see, I never was real huge on the muscle up, so really, I'm really kind of just getting into those all the way. Yeah, I could do them without the kick. But I can't do the rip right. You don't want to mess with rip right. See, rip right is too small. They're not too small. Like, it doesn't matter for me. I'm just saying that his strength to body weight ratio, he got an advantage on pretty much everybody. But I did see that they got a competition they just announced. Where like like they paying thousands of dollars. They paying thousands, you know. I ain't going to mess with them, but I'm saying if you would move, you know, yeah, they got it going on. It's like a nationwide thing. And like you gotta compete, like people competing in the various cities, you know what I'm saying, and see who's gonna represent those cities, and then they're gonna have a big competition. What you say? He did oh, you seen him? You seen him in real life too? Greg Memphis said, 6'2", 245. I'm like a tire, I can roll. What's wrong with you, Gregory? Coming on here, don't think your wife don't know what you're doing. You on here trying to advertise. You on here trying to advertise the brush. Don't think your wife ain't gonna know what you're doing when she catch you. All I know is don't try to blame the guys. Don't say nothing about you was with us, because you wasn't. Don't say nothing like that. So I guess, man, you know, that about does it. You know what I'm saying? You know, shout out to the troll army that came through today. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Everybody that was able to battle through this with me with the trolls, you know, I guess we'll go back to the sideways screen. Let's see if they was correct. If they was correct, and we go back to the sideways screen and don't see as many, because I remember being on this kind of screen before and not having this happen. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see what's up with that. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I don't know. Some of our trolls, maybe they'll subscribe. If not, power to them. You know what I'm saying? You know. Gregory Medford, shout out to you. Hopefully you're gonna come back. But you know, everybody that was able to make it through here, you know what I'm saying, do the each one teach one, hit the like button, You know, we'll be back on tomorrow. You know, hopefully a little bit better time and a little bit less trolls, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, let's not forget, you know, just in terms of what I was saying, you know, the real point of this was is that, you know, going forward, you know, you know, we a nation within a nation. You know, we a culture within a culture and all these various things like that, you know what I'm saying? Medina, what's the deal? You been in the background, not saying nothing else, something? You know what I'm saying? You know, we a nation within a nation, all these things. So of course we gotta deal with that greater nation. You know what I'm saying? We here to bring about love, peace, and happiness, not death, hell, and destruction. You know what I'm saying? You know, yeah, we're here to build. You know, on all levels. You know, politics, economics. You know, none of them is our focus. You know what I'm saying? But if in order to you know, gain love, peace, and happiness for us and our family, you know what I'm saying? If we deal with that, whether we go to work, whether we do business, whether we, you know what I'm saying, whatever, all of that is positive. You know what I'm saying? But we gotta be careful, you know what I'm saying? You know, just like with anything else in life, you know what I'm saying, or, you know, on a personal level, it's also on the national level. And yeah, we gotta do business and we gotta make money and all these things and shit, but we also have to preserve our integrity, you know what I'm saying, and our identity and who we are. You know what I'm saying? At the end of this, right, you know, we still gotta be who we are. You know, the only thing supposed to change is what we have accomplished in that given time. You see what I'm saying? But once we start putting cut on it and see if anything else becomes the major thing, right? Then you can always, we can start relaxing principles if this is about money. You know what I'm saying? If this is about something else, we can start relaxing all the general law and order, right? That made us. You know what I'm saying? The nation that we are. You know that the history was lived out according to. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing that people, this is not about building fancy buildings and having fancy cars and being in the middle class. All of those is things that, you know, those would be manifestations of you know what I'm saying, your success. You know, but at the same time, you know, if you had all those things, you know, if you had all those things, but, you know, I mean, we got a certain set of principles. So I'm saying, like, if I had all those things, right, you know what I'm saying, but, you know, I was a pig eater, you know what I'm saying, in the midst of people that, you know what I'm saying, was abusing me just for me to exist in a world, you know, in this type of stuff. See, that it wouldn't be worth the money. See, you gotta, you know, when I put those things on the scale, right? When you put them on the scale and see what weighs more to you. So that's the only thing, you know, and don't be a sucker, man. Don't be a bitch. Where it's like, yo, just because somebody asks you a question about your plan, you think they trying to tear you down. No, they just asking you a question. And see, you're supposed to welcome those questions. See, because that's what's called, in a lot of these circles, they call that the mastermind group. You see what I'm saying? A group of people that you would go to and say, I got this idea, right? And then they gonna question the idea and be, what about this? Yeah, what about that? And see, they gonna think about things that you didn't think about. They're gonna think about obstacles and hurdles that might come that you wouldn't think about. And now you're gonna be prepared for that because you went through the science with your mastermind group. I'm just saying that this applies. You know, a lot of times people act like I'm speaking from some secret playbook that everybody else don't got. No, I'll be saying that these are universal principles, right? That we apply it like this, but it's applied in other places like that. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, look, for everybody, you know what I'm saying, you know, do your thing, you know what I'm saying, you know, make sure that when you're talking about on a national level, right, that you're not the only person that knows about your qualifications. See, we qualify to do things here in my own personal life. See, it's no imam or rabbi to tell me how to deal with my woman and all this type of stuff like that, right? I deal with my self-style wisdom. You see, when you're dealing with things with the whole body, you can't just be dealing with your own self-style wisdom, right, in terms of making moves. In terms of when we putting our heads together, yeah, that's when you manifest your self-style wisdom, and now we putting our heads together as a mastermind group. You see what I'm saying? You know, but other than that, you know, I'm going to sign off and say peace, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.